Me and
how the restaurant's going to make the money?
And
all right,
people of Ohio are very proud of me. And you know,
people can't eat out in the winter.
Gentlemen, we're going to get to your economic plans going forward in a moment. But first, Mr. President,
economy, baby, you need that bill.
There's a new report that in
Keep repeating that
2016,
bill.
the year you
Still
were
be a
elected
list.
president, and 2017, your first year as president, that you paid $750 a year in federal income tax each of those years. I know that you pay
I need to hear what
a
Trumpy
lot
got to
of
say.
other taxes, but I'm asking you the specific question. Is it true that you paid $750 in federal income taxes
I hope it's not true, Trumpy.
each of those 2 years?
I paid millions of dollars in taxes,
I hope so.
millions of dollars
You're a
of
fucking
income
billionaire.
tax. And let me just tell you, there
talk
was a story
Putin,
in
man.
one of the papers.
Show us your tax
I paid
returns.
$38 million 1 year. I paid $27 million.
Show us your tax
1 year.
return.
The paperwork.
I went. You'll see it as soon as it's finished. You'll see it. You know, if you want to do,
It takes
go
that
to the
long?
Board
I
of
guess
Elections.
that many zeros
There's
on the paper.
118-page or so report that says everything I have, every bank I have, I'm totally under leveraged because the assets are extremely good, and we have a very, I built
Sir,
a great
I'm asking
company.
you a specific question, which
But
is...
let me tell you.
I understand all of that.
Release your
I
tax
understand all of that.
return. But
No, Mr. President,
Go ahead.
I'm asking you a question. Will
Shit.
you tell us how much you paid in federal income taxes in 2016 and 2017?
Millions of dollars.
You paid millions of dollars?
Millions of dollars.
So
yes.
not 750?
Millions of dollars, and you'll get to see it. And you'll get to see
When?
it. But let me just tell you.
It's been about
Chris,
5,
let me
6
just say
years.
something that
Niggas been waiting for the
it was
taxes.
the tax laws. I don't want to pay tax. Before I came here, I was
Nobody
a
wanna
private
pay tax.
developer. I was a private business.
broke
people.
nigga deserves to
Like
pay
every
tax?
other private
Come on,
person, unless they're
Trumpy.
stupid, they go through the laws, and that's what it is. He passed a tax bill that gave us all these privileges for depreciation and for tax credits. We build a building and we get tax credits like the hotel on Pennsylvania Avenue. You get a massive, which, by the way, was given to me by the Obama administration, if you can believe that. Now, the man
You
got
found
fired
loopholes.
right after that happened.
Stop
but-
playing.
President Biden, you want to respond?
Yeah, I do want to respond. Look, the tax code that made him, put him in a position that he pays less tax than a school teacher makes, on the money a school teacher makes, is because of him he says he's smart because he can take advantage of the tax code. And he does take advantage of the tax code. That's why I'm going to eliminate the Trump tax cuts. And I'm going to eliminate those tax cuts.
It's a new one.
And make sure that
Eliminate
we
the
invest in the people who,
Trump
in fact,
tax
need the help.
funds, you heard?
People out
Some
there
new shit.
need help.
But why didn't you do it?
So if you get your taxes cut off,
Because
you barely paying
do it?
taxes,
you weren't president.
that's a
screwing
Trumpy
things
tax.
up.
You were a senator. And
You're
by
the
way,
worst
you were a
president
vice-
America has ever had.
Hey,
Come
Joe,
on.
let me just say,
come on, man.
In 47 months, I've done more than you've done in 47 years, Joe. We've done things that you never even thought of doing,
Okay,
including
gentlemen.
fixing the broken military that you gave me, including taking care of your vets.
Mr. President, we're talking about the economy. I'd like to ask you about your plans going forward because,
Money.
Mr. Vice President, your economic plan, if
Stimulus
you were
check.
to be elected president,
Keep telling the
focuses a
viewers
lot
here,
on big
we
government,
need that.
big taxes, big spending. I want to focus first
Only
on the
time in
taxes.
history we ever got
You
motherfucking
propose
money
more
from the
than
government.
$4 trillion over a
Free.
decade in new taxes on individuals making more than $400,000 a year and on corporations. President Trump says that kind of
This is the Trump
increase
money,
in
you heard?
taxes
Stimulus.
is going to hurt the economy as it's just coming out of a recession.
Well, just take a look at what has the analysis done by Wall Street firms. Points out that my economic plan would create 7 million more jobs than his in 4 years, number one. And number two, it would create
These are all
additional
numbers that they have not
$1
played
trillion
yet.
in economic growth, because it would be about buying American. That we're going to make this federal government spend $600 billion a year on everything from ships to steel to buildings and the like. And under my proposal, we're going to make sure that every penny of that has to be made by a company
But
in
respectfully,
America.
sir, I'm talking about taxes, not spending.
Well, by the
Come
way, I'm
on
gonna
now.
eliminate
Come on,
a
Biden. Where you
significant amount
at?
of tax. I'm going to make the corporate tax 28%. It shouldn't be 21%. You have 91 companies, federal, in the
Charge
Fortune
the
500
rich
who don't pay a
niggas.
single penny in tax, making billions of
Broke
dollars.
niggas should pay
You
5%.
were vice president with Obama.
Because you, in fact, passed that. That was
Right.
your
I got
tax
it.
proposal.
I got it done. And you know what happened?
Yeah, you got it done.
Our economy boomed
And,
like it's never
and
boomed.
The economy is
Mr.
busted.
President,
My son said, boom,
Mr.
nigga.
President, let me pick up on that. You would continue your free
He was giving
market
niggas
approach,
money.
lower taxes,
That
more
Trump money.
deregulation, correct?
Not lower
You was
taxes
broke.
on
You got a
American
check.
Let
The
me-
Trump check,
but
nigga.
but in Obama's, you talk about the economy booming, it turns out that in Obama's final 3 years as president, more jobs were created, 1.5 million more jobs than in the first 3 years of your presidency.
They had the slowest recovery since economic recovery since 1929. It was the slowest recovery. Also, they took
was a
over something that
recession.
was down here. All you had to do is turn on the lights and you pick up a lot. But they had the slowest economic recovery since 1929. Let me tell you about the stock market. When the stock market goes up, that means jobs. It also means 401ks. If you got in, if you ever became president with your ideas, you want to terminate my taxes, I'll tell you what, you'll lose half of the companies that have poured in here will leave, and plenty of companies that are already here, they'll leave for other places. They will leave, and you will have a depression, the likes of which you've never seen.
Look, we inherited the worst recession short of a depression in American history. I was asked to bring it back. We were able to have an economic recovery that created the jobs you're talking about. We handed him a booming economy. He blew it.
It wasn't booming.
He blew it.
It wasn't booming.
Yo, Neptune.
How y'all doing out there?
It was good, man. How you doing?
Is it fair to say he blew it when, in fact, when there was record low unemployment?
Yo, do you hear me, Neptune?
Before COVID?
Yeah, but because what he did, even before COVID,
not playing from over there?
manufacturing went in the hole. Manufacturing went in the hole.
Excuse me, Chris.
Yeah, I hear you now, Neptune.
They said
Do you hear me?
No, you're on number 2.
No.
Chris, they said it would take a miracle to bring back manufacturing. I brought back
We can hear you and see you.
They brought back nothing. They gave up on manufacturing. Part of my standard
I respect
fare,
that,
I'm the
Trumpy.
guy
He
that brought
totally
back the
gave up.
America
automobile
first.
All right, let him
We brought back, I was asked to bring back Chrysler and General Motors. We brought them back right here in the state of Ohio and Michigan. He blew it. They're gone. He blew it. And in fact, they're going.
Ohio had the best year it's ever had last year. Michigan had the best year they've ever had.
That is not
Many
Look it
car
up.
companies came in from
Might be
Germany,
true,
from
might be
Japan,
not.
went
It's
to
up to you to do
Michigan,
your
went to Ohio.
history.
And they didn't
Do your homework
Mr. Vice
as the American
President,
people.
And so you take a look at what he's actually done. He's done very little. His trade deals are the same way. He talks about these great trade deals. You know, he talks about the art of the deal. China's perfected the art of the steal. We have a higher deficit with China now than we did before. We have the highest trade
Niggas make
deficit
everything.
with Mexico.
I was made in China.
18%.
Home
China
reporter.
ate your lunch, Joe, and no wonder your son goes in and he takes out billions of dollars. Takes out
son
billions
Trumpy like
of dollars
talking a
to
lot of
manage. He
shit.
makes millions of dollars. And also, while we're at it, why is it, just out of curiosity, the mayor of Moscow's wife gave your son $3.5 million. What did he do to deserve it? What did he do with Burisma to deserve $183,000?
Probably sold him a prostitute.
None of that is true.
Oh, really? He
Totally,
didn't get $3.5 million?
Mr. President,
please. Totally discredited.
This is becoming a joke. It's a circus.
He got $3.5 million.
You're watching, right?
Joe?
Mr. Vice
He got $3.5 million.
That is not true.
Oh, really?
Mr. President, it's an open discussion, please.
It's a fact.
Well, you have raised an issue. Let the Vice President answer.
Discredited.
Did Burisma pay him $183,000 a month with no experience in energy?
It's a mock show. Trumpy, Biden, Harlem Reporter.
Nothing wrong at Burisma.
I think he did.
Mr. President,
Look, nobody can let nobody talk.
He doesn't want to let me answer because he knows I have the truth. His position has been totally, thoroughly discredited.
By who?
And
The media?
By everybody. Well, by the media, by our
because they refuse to
allies,
talk
by the
about it
World
because they're
Bank,
embarrassed.
by everyone has discredited. Matter of fact, even the people who testified under oath.
So let me ask you this, Joe.
No, go ahead, Mr. I'm listening to you.
He got $3.5 million from Moscow.
He testified under oath in his administration, said, I did my job and I did it very well.
Oh,
I
really?
did it
I'd like
honorably.
to know who they are.
Well, I'll give you the list of the
fire
people who
them.
testified.
No, go ahead, sir.
Sure, you've already fired most of them because they did a good job.
Some people don't do a good job.
Man, that's fucked up.
You
Fire
get
them.
the- wait a minute, you get
Come
the
on.
final
They had your
word.
Well,
back.
it's hard to get any word in with this clown. Excuse me, this.
Hey, let me just tell you,
No, Mr. President.
$3.5
Mr.
million,
President.
Joe.
Nigga called them a clown.
$3.5 million from
It's a circus.
Here's the deal. We want to talk about families and ethics. I don't want to do that. I mean, his family we could talk about all night. His family's
My
already...
family,
let him go.
my family
already
lost
wrote.
a fortune by coming down and helping us with government.
sir.
And that's such a...
they're right here.
Mr.
That's
President,
such a
Every
great...
single one of them lost
This
a
is not
fortune
about
by
my
coming and
family or
helping
his
us with
family. It's
government.
about your family,
They
the
didn't buy
American
$3.5
people.
million
He
for
doesn't...
nothing.
That's not true. It doesn't want to talk about what you need. You, the American people. It's
American
about
people.
you. That's
what
we're
matters.
talking
We
about.
first.
All right,
Not about here.
that's the end of the segment. We're moving on.
He didn't take them.
Well,
Vice
it's a
President,
but Chris,
no.
Can I be honest? It's a very important
Try to be
question.
honest.
Yo, shit's a shit show.
The answer to
And
the
he
question is no.
Yo,
Ukraine.
Neptune, you on?
Sir,
With $1 billion, if you
That
get rid of
is
the
absolutely
you know what, you're-
Having problems right now trying to get guests on.
not true.
gentlemen, I hate to raise my voice,
he's
but
on
it seems
tape.
to be, why shouldn't I be different than the two of you? So here's the deal.
Good point.
We have 6 segments. We have ended that segment. We're going to go to the next segment. In that segment, you each are going to have 2 uninterrupted moments. In those 2
I hope
uninterrupted
so.
minutes, Mr. President, you can say anything you want. I'm going to ask a question about race, but if you want to answer about something else, go ahead. But I think that the country would be better served if we allowed both people to speak with fewer interruptions. I'm appealing to you, sir, to do that.
Well, and him too.
Well, frankly, you've been doing more interrupting
Well, that's
than
all
he
right,
has.
but he does plenty.
Well, less than, sir,
This
less
shit
than
is a
plenty.
shit
No,
show.
less than you have. Let's please continue on. The issue of race. Vice President Biden, you say that President Trump's response to the violence in Charlottesville 3 years ago, when he talked about very fine people on both sides,
Neptune, you hear me?
was what directly led you to launch
yes,
this
sir,
run
yes,
for
sir. How you doing
president.
today?
President Trump, you have often said that you believe you have done more for black Americans than any president.
Man, I
with
was
the
trying to get you in
possible
early in the
exception
pregame, but-
of Abraham Lincoln. My question
But I'm
for
glad
the
to have
two
you
of
on right now.
is why should voters trust you rather than your opponent
You
to
was
deal
taking
with
my
the
place
race
for me.
issues facing this country over
I
the next
feel
4
you. I feel
years?
you.
Vice
I know you're
President
watching
Biden,
the
you go
debate right
first.
now. These
It's
two.
about equity.
No, it's
and
looking like a
equality.
circus.
It's about decency. It's about the
Circus is the
Constitution.
show. It's exactly what it is.
Never walked
This is
away
the
from
princess
trying to
meet politics.
require equity for
This is what
everyone,
shit
equality
is
for the
with
whole of America.
You know how bad
But
Trump was for your
we've never
shit?
accomplished it, but we've never walked away from it like he has
Talking
done.
back to me,
It
the
is
pilot.
true. The reason I got in the race is when those people, close your eyes, remember what those people look like coming out of the fields carrying
Right now, hold on. I'm trying to
torches,
understand
their
what
veins
Biden's saying
bulging,
right now.
just spewing anti-Semitic bile, and accompanied by the Ku Klux Klan. A young woman got killed, and they asked the president what he thought. He said there were very fine people on both sides. No president's ever said anything like that.
Finish this.
It is
This is some crazy shit. You heard that, Neptune?
Second point I'd make to you is that
Hey, man, he is the right.
Floyd
But they
was
both the
killed, when
same.
Mr. Floyd was killed.
It's like I'm watching a
protest in front of the White House. What did he do?
Klan
He came out of a
white, but they
bunker,
got
had the
the
military
They got a blue one, they got a
use
red
tear
one.
gas on
It's
him
black
so he
and white,
could
it's still a
walk
color,
across to a church
you know?
and hold up a Bible.
Still, it's
And
they
then
party with
what
our
happened
money.
after that? The bishop of that very
it's just
church
crazy.
said that it was a disgrace.
I
The
can't believe we
general
have
who
these
was
two
with him
candidates
said
as-
all he ever wants to do is divide people, not unite.
Who's
I
gonna
think
be
Joe Biden
president?
would
This
have
is a president who
if
has
he
used
would have ran.
everything as a dog whistle
would've been-
to
he
try
would've
to
been Hillary.
generate racist hatred, racist
No, Biden
division.
should have been,
This is a man who, in fact, you talk about helping African Americans.
2016 trying to go for the
1 in
election, but
1,000 African Americans
his son
has been
died
killed
and, you know, he went
because
through
of
his bullshit.
The coronavirus. And if
Now he just
doesn't
look
do
old and
something
finished.
quickly, by the end of the year, 1 in 500.
I wish I
will
could
have
trust
been
him, but I don't know who to
killed.
trust. I can't trust
1 in 500
neither.
African Americans. This man.
Listen,
is
we live in
the
unprecedented
savior of
times,
African
man.
Americans.
We don't even
This
know
man
where we
cares
headed. We
all.
got people saying
This
they're ready
man's
for
done
war.
virtually nothing.
November.
Look, the fact
know?
is that you have to
Nah,
look
ain't
at
looking
what he
good, man.
talks about.
Whoever wins
you
is
have to look at
still
what he
fucked
did.
up
And what he did has
motherfucking
been
situation we all in
disastrous for the
as
African
Americans.
American community.
So,
President Trump, you have 2 minutes. Why should Americans trust you over your opponent to deal with
he
racism?
did a crime bill, 1994, where you call them super predators, African Americans, the super predators. And
Well,
they've
that's
never
disrespectful.
forgotten it. They've never forgotten it, Joe.
No, sir, it's his 2 minutes.
So you did that, and they call you a super predator, and I'm letting people out of jail now that you have treated the African American population community, you have treated the black community about as bad as anybody in this country. You did the 1990, and that's why, if you look at the polls, I'm doing better than any Republican has done in a long time, because they saw what you did. You call them super predators, and you've called them worse than that. because you look back at your testimony over the years, you've called them a lot worse than that. As far as the church is concerned, and as far as the generals are concerned, we just got the support of 250 military leaders and generals, total support. Law enforcement, almost every law enforcement group in the United States. I have Florida, I have Texas, I have Ohio, I have Portland. The sheriff just came out today and he said, I support President Trump. I don't think you have any law enforcement. You can't even say the word law enforcement, because if you say those words, you're going to lose all of your
do you think Trump right now is answering the question?
And why aren't you saying those words, Joe? Why don't you say the words law enforcement? Because you know what? If they called us in Portland, we would put out that fire in a half an hour.
Well, I'm in here.
Because they're run by radical left Democrats. If you look at Chicago, if you look at any place you want to look, Seattle. They heard we were coming in the following day, and they put up their hands, and we got back Seattle.
I just feel like the American people really want to see
we
what Trump
believe
talking
in law
about.
and order, but you don't. The top 10 cities.
That's true. People stay in their own neighborhoods and don't travel in the Americas. Whether the United States of America, all the states, it's a big country.
To a point where you don't want to say anything about law
and
and
easy
order.
to get to.
And I'll tell you what, the people of this country want and
just
demand
drive away. You
law
could
and
take a
order,
train.
and
You
you're
could take
afraid
a
to even say
plane.
it.
All right. I
They
want to return to
just
the
scared to
question
see what's
of
out there.
race. Vice President Biden, after the grand jury in the Breonna Taylor case decided not to charge any of the police with homicide, you said it raises the question, quote, whether justice could be equally applied in America. Do you believe that there is a separate but unequal system of justice for blacks in this country?
Yes, there is. There's systemic injustice in this country, in education and work and in...
My son Biden sounded like me when I started the Harlem Reporter pregame earlier.
But look, the vast majority of police officers are good, decent, honorable men and women. They risk their lives every day to take care of us. But there are some bad apples. And when they occur, when they find them, they have to be
Cops don't
sorted
save
out.
people, man. They come after the crime is done.
They have to be held accountable. And what I'm going to do as President of the United States is call together...
You got to protect yourself and your family, America.
...at the White House, well, everything from the civil rights groups to the police officers, the police chiefs, and we're going to work this out. We're going to work this out so we change the way in which we have more transparency in when these things happen. These cops aren't happy to see what happened to George Floyd. These cops
they're not
aren't happy to
happy.
see what happened to Breonna Taylor.
It's a fucked up situation.
Don't like it. But we have to have a system where people are held accountable. And by the way, violence in response is never appropriate. Never appropriate. Peaceful protest is. Violence is never appropriate.
All right.
What is peaceful protest? When they run through the middle of a town and burn down your stores and kill people all over the place,
that
and you
is
say
not
peaceful
peaceful.
protest?
President
No,
Trump,
it's
I'm not
not,
asking...
but you say it is.
President Trump, I'd like to continue with the issue
My
of
man
race.
Trump going hard.
We're going to get to the issue of law and order in a moment. This month, your administration directed federal agencies to end racial sensitivity training that addresses white privilege or critical race theory. Why did you decide to do that, to end racial sensitivity training? And do you believe that there is systemic racism in this country, sir?
I ended it because it's racist. I ended it because a lot of people were complaining that they were asked to do things that were absolutely insane, that it was a radical revolution that was taking place in our military, in our schools, all over the place, and you know it, and so does everybody else. And he would
Everybody knows it. You heard? That's Trump's favorite line right there. You know it. I know it. We all know it.
You had no status in life. It was sort of a reversal. And if you look at the people, we were paying people hundreds of thousands of dollars to teach very bad ideas and, frankly, very sick ideas. And really, they were teaching people to hate our country. And I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to allow that to happen. We have to go back to the core values of this country. They were teaching people that our country is a horrible place, it's a racist place, and they were teaching people to hate our country. And I'm not going to allow that to happen.
Vice President Biden?
Nobody's doing that. He's the racist.
You just don't.
Here's the deal. I know a lot more about this than he does.
Let him finish.
Yeah, this shit's crazy. Neptune.
There is racial
This shit's really a
insensitivity.
shit show.
People have to be made aware of what other people feel like, what insults them, what is demeaning to them. It's important to people know they don't want to. Many people don't want to hurt other people's feelings, but it makes a big difference. It makes a gigantic difference in the way a child is
Man,
able
America
to
be
grow
acting
up
like
and
they
have
don't care about people's feelings,
of
man.
self-esteem. It's a little bit like how this guy and his friends look down on so many people. They look down their nose on people like Irish Catholics like me and grew up in Scranton. They look down on people who don't have money. They look down on people who are of a different faith. They look down on people who are a different color. In fact, we're all Americans. The only way we're going to bring this country together is bring everybody together. There's nothing we cannot do if we do it together. We can take this on and we can defeat racism in America.
President Trump, sir.
During the Obama-Biden administration, there was tremendous division. There was hatred.
Always come down to the past.
Ferguson, you look at, you go to many places. Look at Oakland. Look what happened in Oakland. Look what happened in Baltimore. Look what happened. Frankly, it was more violent than what I'm even seeing now.
Oh, my
but
Lord.
The reason is that
ridiculous.
the Democrats that run
Shit
these
bad right
cities
now.
don't want to talk like you about law and
coronavirus.
order. You still haven't mentioned. Are you in favor of law and order?
I'm in favor of law. You follow.
Are you in favor of law and order? Go
yes,
ahead.
I'm in favor.
You asked a question. Let him finish.
Law and order.
Law
and order with justice, where people get treated fairly. Okay. And the fact of the matter is, violent crime went down 17%, 15% in our administration.
All right.
It's gone up on his watch.
Went down much more than ours.
All right, we're now, Mr. President, you're going to...
This shit is crazy.
Mr. President, you're going to be very happy because we're now going to talk about law and order.
Places we had trouble were Democratic-run cities.
That's exactly
Who the
my
vote
question.
for out of
There's
these
been
two,
a
man?
dramatic
This shit
increase
fucked
in
up.
homicides in America this summer particularly, and you often blame that on Democratic mayors and Democratic governors, but in fact there have been equivalent spikes in Republican-led cities like Tulsa and Fort Worth. So the question is this really a party issue?
I think it's a party issue. You can bring in a couple of examples.
Hold on, repeat that again,
look at Chicago, what's going on in Chicago, where 53 people were shot and 8
I feel you.
died
There's
shot.
going to be a lot of Americans that are not going to
New
vote.
York, where
They don't know who to
it's going
choose.
up like nobody's ever seen anything. The numbers are going
It's
up 100,
either a full plate of shit or a half plate of
200%.
shit. Either way, it's shit.
It is crazy what's going on. And he doesn't want to say law and order because he can't, because he'll lose his radical left supporters. And once he does that, it's over with. But if he ever got to run this country and they ran it the way he would want to run it, we would have our suburbs would be gone. By the way, our suburbs would be gone, and you would see problems like you've never seen.
He wouldn't know a suburb unless he took a wrong turn.
Oh, I know suburbs.
He would not.
So much
I was raised in the suburbs. This is not 1950. All these dog whistles on racism don't work anymore. Suburbs are by and large integrated. There's many people today driving their kids to soccer practice and or to black and white and Hispanic in the same car as there have been any time in the past. What really is a threat to the suburbs and their safety is his failure to deal with COVID. They're dying in the suburbs. His failure to deal with the environment. They're being flooded. They're being burned out because his refusal to do anything. That's why the suburbs are in trouble.
I do want to talk about this issue of law and order.
The cities are probably more
the
fucked
joint
up.
recommendation that came from the Biden-Bernie Sanders task force, you talked about, quote, reimagining policing. Yeah. First of all, what does reimagining policing mean, and do you support?
It means.
Let me, if I might finish the question.
That's the only man that can save and change shit here.
Do you support the
RoboCops.
Black Lives
You need
Matter
a few of them niggas out here.
call for community control of policing?
Look, what I support is the police having the opportunity to deal with the problems they face. And I'm totally opposed to defunding the police officers. As a matter of fact, local police, the only one defunding it, his budget calls for a $400 million cut in local law enforcement assistance. They need more assistance. They need, when they show up for a 9/11 call, to have someone with them as a psychologist or psychiatrist to keep them from having to use force and be able to talk people down. We have to have community policing like we had before, where the officers get to know the people in the communities. That's when crime went down. It didn't go up, it went down. And so we have to be engaged.
That's not what they're talking about, Chris. That's not what he's talking about, defunding the police.
That is not true.
He doesn't have any law.
You know, I think I'm watching an MMA match.
No, this shit is hilarious.
Who do you have?
Welcome back, Fuma Mucho.
Yo, what up, nigga?
This shit is crazy.
We have time.
Yo, I think I'm watching an MMA match, B. I swear to God, with no gloves. Yo, I'm waiting for one of them niggas to call the other nigga pussy. I'm waiting, though. Yo, shut up, you pussy.
Biden already told that nigga to shut up. That shit was hilarious earlier.
More than 100 straight days.
I might do some Harlem Porter shit.
Which I think
walk off.
peaceful protests. Many of those turned into riots. Mr. Vice President, you say that people who commit crimes should be
I need to smoke something watching these niggas, man.
The question I have, though, is as the Democratic
You know what I'm saying? Harlem Porter style.
tonight, you
Yo,
said
fuck.
that you are the Democratic Party right now. Have you ever called the Democratic mayor of Portland or the Democratic governor of Oregon and said,
cheers.
hey, you got to stop this, bring in the National Guard?
But it's a historic day. Watching these two buffoons. But they got billions, though, millions, man. That's what we got to get to, man.
Now. I am a former vice president. I've made it clear. I've made it clear in my public statements that the violence should be prosecuted.
He's like, you gotta be stupid to make money. It's true. I don't get it.
Called for the people, excuse me, sir. You had never called for the leaders in Portland and in Oregon to bring in the National Guard and knock off 100 days of riots.
They can, in fact, take care of it if he just stay out of the way. Look here.
Oh, really?
Oh,
really?
Here's the thing.
I sent in the U.S. Marshals.
These niggas is children.
A young man in the middle of the street. They shot him. And for 3 days, Portland wouldn't do anything. I had to send in the U.S. Marshals. They took care of business.
Go ahead, sir.
And by the way, you know, his own former spokesperson said, you know, riots and chaos and violence help his cause. That's what this is all about.
I don't know who said that.
I do.
Who?
Kellyanne
Oh, yeah, I think so far is doing better in the debate.
But here's the point.
Well, I'm gonna tell you this: it's not who's better so far. I think the problem is
everything up.
that
He doesn't want to calm
we're blinded
things down.
now.
Instead
You know,
of
we're
going
done,
in
right?
and talking
As
to
a,
people
as
and
a,
saying,
as a
"Let's get
society and a group
together,
of people,
figure
we're
out how to
blinded
deal
now.
with this."
We're seeing David
He
and
just pours
Goliath.
gasoline in the fire.
And we
constantly,
are now
every
drowned in the
single
bottle
solitary
Okay,
time.
of all of the bullshit.
End this, button up this segment. I'm going to give
We
you a
no
minute to
longer
answer, sir.
are able to pick
You have
who is better.
repeatedly criticized.
Even though we feel what we feel, and yo, my uncle just said, I'm voting for Trump. That's just seeing this, he's just like, oh, whoa, let's start writing.
You know, if you want to
We're
switch
still
seats,
drowned by the issue. Nobody's
we can do
answering
that,
the
but
question.
Send in the National Guard, it would
They're
be
not
over. There'd be
answering
no
the question.
problem.
They're looking
But they
at
don't
the
want to
target one
accept the
another.
National Guard.
you have repeatedly criticized the
As a fact, how about you,
vice
Neptune?
president for not specifically calling out Antifa and other left-wing extremist groups. But are
Neptune,
you
you still with
willing
us?
tonight to condemn white supremacists and
So who do you think is doing
militia
better for you
groups
in the
and
debate?
to say that they need to stand down and not add to
Political
the
wise,
violence in a number of these cities, as we saw in Kenosha and as we've seen in Portland? Are you prepared to specifically do it? Go ahead,
I would say almost everything I see is from the left wing, not from the right
Every
wing.
time you try to
You look
get a word out,
I'm willing to do anything. I want to see
Then
peace.
do it, sir.
I gotta be quiet.
Say it.
Because
You want to call him?
as the narrator, the
Give me a
person
name.
asking the
Give me a
question,
name.
White
Who
supremacists
would
and
you like me to condemn?
You get in trouble.
and right
So I just
Stand
feel like
back and
this
stand
election
by.
is just
But
how
I'll
the
tell you
system
what.
has become a
Somebody's
solution.
got to do something about
And
Antifa and the left,
and
because this is not a right-wing
own-
problem.
his
This
own-
is a
Like, there's a lot of
left-wing
hope.
problem.
This
This
is
is a left-wing problem.
Antifa's an idea, not an organization.
You got it.
Little
Bucky.
money was-
That's what
It's an idea.
They were preparing this for this shit. That's why they're trying to make weed legal. Because they have that motherfucker smoking to hear this shit.
You gotta smoke to this shit. You gotta do whatever you can. Drink, take drugs, shoot yourself up, whatever.
Can I tell you what?
You can't do this shit sober.
Antifa is a dangerous radical.
Hey, nobody, everybody's at home getting drunk like it's a fiesta right now. Nah, it's a
It's a
debate.
fact. This is like the NBA Finals.
The president seeks a
I
second
guarantee
term.
this got the most views
It
in
is
a long
generally a
time on
referendum
TV.
on
Watch.
his record. But
Bro,
Vice President Biden,
They break
you like to
records
quote one of
tonight.
your dad's
You know what Trump's gonna say,
sayings,
right?
which is, don't
Well,
compare me
you see
to
the
the
debate,
almighty,
right? You see how I had
compare
him?
me
And I
to the
broke the most
alternative.
records. It was
And
the
in this
most
case,
records we
sir,
broke.
you
It was
are
the most
the
records of all
alternative.
time and the most
Looking
records.
backwards, I'm going to ask each of you,
You sound like Mayweather,
why
all
should
of them.
voters elect you president over
It's
your
like Biden saying,
Everybody at home watching this shit.
President Trump, you go first, 2 minutes.
Because there has never been an administration or president who has done more than I've done in a period of 3.5 years. And that's despite
That's true, though,
the
what he's
impeachment
saying.
hoax. And you
Because all
saw
this shit
what
stirring
happened
up,
with
coronavirus,
where it was a whole
this shit
big
history.
con job. But despite going through all of these
This
things, we
happened.
had a fight
Ebola,
on
this
flanks and
happened.
behind me.
Yeah,
There's
all
never
this
been an administration
West Nile virus, this happens.
The greatest
This happens.
before
It
COVID
happens.
came
I
in, the
agree.
greatest economy in history, lowest unemployment numbers. Everything was good. Everything was going. And by the way, there was unity going to happen. People were
Donald
calling
Trump
me for
should
the
have just
first
been like,
time in years.
nigga,
they
you
were
had
calling,
Cardi B
and they were
interview
saying,
you.
it's time maybe.
It's a fact, nigga.
But now we're building
Like,
it
what are
back.
You a
doing?
disgrace, nigga.
You're a
Military, including
disgrace.
Space Force.
Like, you lost off of that. For me, you lost off of that.
Fixing of the,
Out of everybody, you use Cardi B to get a vote.
308,000 people died
You
because they
understand?
didn't
Get the fuck out of here.
healthcare.
You know why, though, right? You know why,
And we
though?
now got a
Joe Rogan told him
91%
no.
approval rating
You heard?
at the VA.
He tried to go on Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan said, nah.
So we've rebuilt our military. The job that we've
Nigga
done,
wildin'.
and I'll tell you something, some people say maybe the most important. By the end of the first term, I'll have approximately 300 federal judges and Court of Appeals judges, 300, and hopefully 3.
To what, to
great
judge niggas
Supreme
all the
Court
time?
judges,
Like, what we need more
justices.
judges for?
That is a record,
give more-
the likes of which very few people, and you know one of the reasons I'll have so
Take
many
more money out of
judges?
niggas' pockets.
Because President Obama and him left me 128 judges to fill. When you leave office, you don't leave any judges. That's like, you just don't do that. They left 128 openings, and if I were a member of his party, because they have a little different philosophy,
Take
I'd
drugs
say
right
if you
before
left
they get on the stage.
us,
Now, they had to take some
128
drugs because
you can't
You
be
think
a
they
good
would
These
tune
niggas
up all
wildin'.
day,
You can't be
and
a
they
good
was ready
vice
to go like us,
president.
ready
But I
for
wanna
a show.
thank you because
Now
if
we
you
get
That's
ready for a
facts.
show.
it'll probably be above that.
Shit's like WWE right now.
I'm sorry.
300
Title
judges.
is
It's a
for the
record.
title.
Looking at both your records,
I
why
didn't
should
know this.
voters elect you president? As
Yo,
opposed
today
to
crazy
President
nigga
Trump?
Tuesday.
2 minutes
Who you
uninterrupted.
think will get the
Under
awards,
this
Trump or
president, we'll
Biden?
become weaker, sicker,
Damn.
poorer, more divided,
I'm gonna give it
and more violent.
What, Biden for
When I
fighting the
was
crazy nigga?
Vice president, we inherited your
Well, he's on stage, so that nigga, he a crazy nigga just being on stage. That nigga don't even know where he at right now.
and he
Did you hear? Did you
With
hear?
regard to being
Conor
weaker.
McGregor.
The fact
Conor
is that
McGregor versus
I've
Manny
gone head-to-head
Pacquiao.
with Putin and made it clear to him
Manny
that I didn't
Pacquiao.
believe his stuff.
Yes,
He's Putin's
Conor
puppy.
McGregor
He
versus.
still
You look at
refuses
it.
to
You heard,
even
I heard
say
that, right?
anything to
Look
Putin
at that.
about
Yeah, you
the
heard that.
Oh, now I ain't hear about that. What the hell? McGregor versus Pacquiao?
Yeah.
They trying to make money.
Mr. President, your campaign agreed
McGregor's out to make $108
both
million
sides would
for
get
that
2
fight.
minute answers
Wow.
uninterrupted. Well,
You
your
get
side
50%
agreed to
of
it.
that.
And
You already know Pacquiao gonna beat him.
what your campaign agreed to as a ground rule, okay, sir?
He never
Green
keeps his
behind
word.
him.
Can you
He's
ask-
real.
No, I'm not
green
asking.
stick to have
That was a
whatever he wants.
rhetorical question. Go ahead.
That's how you know it's crazy. We talk about Conor McGregor and Pacquiao,
So,
other than the debate right
thirdly,
now.
we're poor. The billionaires have gotten much more.
But you know what it is?
wealthy
They got the
by
good shit out the way first.
$300 to $400 billion
Coronavirus, the
just since
taxes.
COVID.
All the bullshit. Now they just killing time right now.
You're in
Where's
more
the
Just
BLM
talking
question?
shit.
Before.
Oh, they asked me
In terms
BLM
of
question
being
too.
More violent. When
Yeah,
we
but
were in
he still
office,
didn't
it was
answer it. It's like
15% less
they go
violence
around
than
the show.
that's
They
my
doing
point.
this
today.
talking shit.
He's president of the United
behind the
States.
scenes, both of
It's
them were
on
smoking
his
a
watch.
doobie.
And
They
we're
probably
getting
cool.
more divided.
I believe that.
Can't stay divided. We
They
can't
probably
be
cool as fuck. Once the camera comes off,
The way you talk
these
about
niggas is
them,
cool.
Listen to the
the
fucking
way you talk
Wu-Tang.
about them
Listen
being
to the fucking
losers
Wu-Tang.
and being
I wanna see
and just being suckers. My son
Trump versus Biden.
was in Iraq. He spent a year there. He got the Bronze Star.
You know, there's some
He got the
DJ right now,
Conspicuous
right?
Service
Mixing
Medal.
this
He
right now,
was
so it
not
can
a
really sound like a
loser.
battle.
He was a patriot.
I believe it. I can't wait to hear that shit tomorrow.
We're heroes, and I resent.
Are you talking about
like
Hunter?
hell.
Are you talking about
I'm
Hunter?
talking about my son.
Look, they're going against each other. They didn't even let each other talk.
I know Hunter.
Yeah,
Hunter
you know,
got
well-
thrown. Hunter got thrown out of the military. He was thrown out, dishonorably discharged.
That's not true.
That's like disrespectful.
Cocaine use, and he didn't have a job until you became vice president. And once you
None of
became
that
vice
is
president,
true.
he made a fortune in Ukraine, in China,
You know what?
Moscow,
You know what Biden and
areas
Bernie
of
did
the
do though?
places.
In
My
the
son
1990s,
watching.
right?
My son.
And he didn't have a
My
job.
son,
In the
like a lot
1990s,
of
there was a
people,
really bad
like a lot of
problem with
people we know
women
at
getting
home,
battered
had a
and getting
drug
fucked up
problem.
and
He's
domestically abused.
overtaken it.
And cops would come to their
he's
house,
fixed it. He's
and
worked on
cops
it.
wouldn't
And I'm
prosecute
proud
the
of
man
him.
Why
because the
was
cops
he
would ask the
given tens of
woman.
millions?
Do you have any witnesses? Did anybody see this?
That is
Sure,
totally
it can't be
wrong.
settled.
Totally-
So a lot of men got a lot away with crimes of battery, beating their women. We've been doing this throughout a whole bunch of
I
time.
think the
Wow.
American people would
And
rather
Bernie
hear
Sanders
about more
were the two
substantial.
men that signed off on the
Well, you know,
reform
as
for
the
like
moderator, sir, I'm gonna
$25
make a
million
judgment
for the
call
police
here.
academies to get training on how to deal with
America
domestic
must
violence
get it.
situations, so women will now have a voice when they get fucked up and beat up. But before the 90s, before Lorena Bobbitt cut that dick off, it didn't happen that way.
You know,
Dead ass,
I'd
B.
like to talk about climate change.
So would I.
That's why, like, Biden's been a real.
Forest fires in the West are raging now.
Trump
They
throws
have
a lot of shit in
burned
his face
millions of
because
acres.
for the 47
They
years you've been in
have
office, he
displaced
hasn't done
hundreds
shit.
of thousands
That
of
is a
He's been in
fact,
office
though.
47
When state
years,
officials
and
there
there's only
blame
a
the
couple
fires on
bills and
climate
reforms
change,
that he's
Mr.
really put his
President, you
name on
said,
and
I
changed.
don't think
You really
the
haven't done
science
nothing.
knows.
You were the
Over
vice
your 4
president to
years,
President Obama,
you have
and
pulled
President
the U.S.
Obama
out of the Paris
arguably
Climate
might be one of the
Accord.
greatest
You have
presidents of
rolled
our
back a number
generation,
of
but
Obama
he did
environmental
send a drone
records.
to kill a whole bunch
What
of people.
do
That's
you
never on the
believe
news.
about the
You know what I
science
mean?
of climate change?
They're gonna talk about it.
What will you do in the next
All the
4
mass
years to
shootings.
confront it?
I
Yo, you know how
want
much is a
crystal
premium?
clean water and
If you
air.
make
I
over
want
$60,000
beautiful,
a
clean air. We
year,
have now
you don't
the
get no free
lowest
health
carbon.
care.
If you
So
look at
if you go to, you have
numbers
to pay a
right now,
premium. That shit's really
we are
expensive on
doing
these niggas that pay a
phenomenally.
lot of money.
But I haven't
One, you
destroyed
pay,
our
if you
businesses.
make 50,
Our businesses
60,000, you're in
aren't
that
put out
weird
of
bracket. You
commission.
don't make like
If
over
you
a mil
look
or
at the Paris
100,000, so
Accord, it
you
was
have
a
to pay full
disaster
taxes,
from our standpoint.
and you don't make
people
under, so
are
you don't get no
actually
pardons from
very
nothing.
happy about what's
So now
going
you have
on
to pay all
because
your
our
taxes, you
businesses
have
are
to pay
doing
all
well.
your
As far
medical
as the
bills. You
fires
get
are concerned,
absolutely no
you need
support.
forest
Those are the
management
niggas
in
that run
addition to
into debt,
everything else.
bankruptcy, and have to do
The
a
forest
GoFundMe.
floors are
But
loaded
they
up
were
with
just on top.
trees, dead
You know what I mean?
trees
There's
that
no
are years
safety in
old and they're
between.
like tinder.
That's why they say
And
there's no
leaves and everything
there's
else.
no middle
You drop
class
a
no
cigarette
more.
in there, the whole
There's
No,
forest
there's
floor.
not.
You've got to have forest management.
What do you
You've got to have
believe?
cuts.
What do you believe?
You're either
about
up or
the
down.
science
That's
of
it.
climate
Rich or
change?
poor.
Up and down, because when you're in the middle,
We have to
when you're in
do
the middle, you're
everything
either
we
going to
can
go up or
have
down.
immaculate air,
Correct.
immaculate water,
You
and do
can't stay in
whatever
the
else we
middle for
can that's
long
good. You know,
now.
we're
If
planting
something
a
happens,
billion
that's what happens to
trees,
these
the
small
billion tree
businesses.
project, and it's very
Makes it
Purely
first,
that
and then
human
everything else is gonna blow.
pollution,
Everything,
greenhouse
then
gas
connect-
emissions
trying to
contributes
recover.
to the global
Trying
warming
to
of the
I think
recover,
a
trying
lot
to
of things
recover.
do, but I think to an extent,
And it's like
yes. I think
COVID,
to an extent,
it
yes. But
was
I
the
also
final
think
blow.
we have to do better management of our forests. Every
You know, now
year,
we had
I
two
get the call,
presidents that
California's
it really
burning.
doesn't matter
California's
because
burning.
people
If
don't want to
that
be
was
around each other
cleaned,
anymore.
if you had
know?
forest management, good
Everything's
forest
gone
management,
virtually.
you wouldn't be getting
And
those calls.
you
know,
hit
in
the
Europe,
nail on
they
the
live
head. And
there,
you know what the
forest
problem
cities.
is?
They're called
I'll go
forest
ahead and
cities.
hammer that
They
bitch down.
maintain their
People
forests.
don't
They
want to be
manage
around
their
each
forests.
other anymore,
I was
and
with
they
the
don't
head of
even
a
want to make us
major
want to be
country.
next to them
It's a
or
forest
each other.
city. He
They're
said,
not
"Sir,
bringing us
we
closer
have
together.
trees
They're
that
not
are
Correct.
saying
far
nothing
more-
that's
they
making us
ignite
want to be
much
closer
easier
together.
than
We're
California.
doing it
There
ourselves.
shouldn't be
When we
that
do
problem.
things like
I spoke
this,
with the governor about it.
when
I'm
we
getting along
communicate
very
and
well
have
with the
these
governor. But I
conversations,
said,
that's
you know,
us
at some
wanting to have
point,
some type of
you
unity
can't
in our
every
lives
year have
with one another
hundreds of
because we're so
thousands of
unaware of
acres
what
of
these
land
motherfuckers
just
are
burned
really
to the
doing in
ground.
the background.
That's burning down
You know what I
because
mean?
of a
This is
lack
all a
of
shadow
land.
and a
If you
cloak and
believe
a
in the
shame.
We're not
science
in
of
the
climate
office.
change,
We're not in
why
the
have you rolled
courtroom.
back the Obama
When family
Clean
when
Power
people be going
Plan,
like
which limited
oh,
carbon emissions in
South
power plants? Why
Florida,
have you
all
relaxed?
Because it was driving
different
energy prices through the sky.
Why have
that
you
people
relaxed
entangled
fuel
into the system.
economy standards?
A lot of people
that
don't know how
are
to get
gonna
out.
create more
And then you
pollution
have
from
people that
cars.
look
Well,
down
not
upon
really,
people that
because
do
what's
this.
happening is the car is much
You
less
know?
expensive
Like,
and it's
But it's like we all American
But
here.
wait,
and you're talking
but
about
wait,
a
if you
tiny
got this,
difference.
you
And
all
you
go
would
ahead
have
and
it
get-
because of the cost of the
Okay,
car.
what about
you
all
would
the
have
people that
at
get
least
pardons?
double and
You know
triple
how many
the
people
number of
Bill
cars
Clinton
purchased.
pardoned?
We have the old slugs
You know how
out
many
there that
people
are 10
George
and 12
Bush
years
pardoned?
old. If
What
you
about the
did
people that
the car
commit
would be
criminal
safer.
crimes and get
It would be
pardoned?
much
They didn't
cheaper,
even
like
need no money. They got
$3,500.
pardoned.
They've simply
Hold up,
outlawed
because
Yo.
the
cars
president
off the
Shit.
market because people would
Got
be
lucky.
able to
people
afford a
while he
car.
was president.
Now,
Trump pardoned
and by the way,
4
we're
or
going to
5
see how that
people.
turns out.
That's
But a lot of people
ridiculous,
agree
bro.
with me. Many
And you
people.
know who's next?
The car
Tiger
has gotten
King.
so expensive because they have computers all over the place.
The Tiger
for an
King gonna
extra
be next,
little
you heard?
bit
Oh, that's a
of
fact, though.
gasoline.
Tiger King, yo, free Tiger King, you
I'm
heard?
okay with electric
He
cars.
did not send out that hit.
For electric cars, I've given big incentives for electric cars. But what they've done in California is
I
just
wanna
No
do a
comment.
track with that, man.
Vice President
I wanna do a
Biden,
My
track
son
with that,
innocent.
respond to the president's climate change record.
They should
I
talk
also
about that
wanna
shit in the
ask you
debate, man.
about-
They got shit to
you
talk about.
proposed $2
Talk about Tiger
trillion
King, you heard?
in
Free that
jobs.
nigga.
You
Hey, you
talked
know,
about no limits, not abolishing but new limits on fracking,
they're finding
ending the
tigers
use
of
of
his
fossil
still
fuels to
right now.
generate electricity
They're
by
finding babies of his
2035,
tigers
and
still all
zero
over
net
United
emission of
States
greenhouse
of
gases
America.
by 2050.
Babies of his
The
tigers. And
president
somebody's doing a
says
documentary
a lot
on
of
the
these
ones
things
that
would
came out
tank the
deformed.
economy and cost
A lot of
millions
the
of jobs.
deformed
He's
tigers he
absolutely
didn't
wrong,
kill. He
number
sold them
one.
for a
Number
cheaper
two,
price. And the
if in
couple that
fact,
took him tried to raise
during
him.
our
There was some
administration,
dickhead
the
ran
Recovery
around
Act, I was
trying to
able,
get
I
a
was in charge
documentary
to
of
bring
all of
down
this.
the cost
Trying to
of
document
renewable
all the
energy
loose cats.
to
Yeah, all the
cheaper
loose
than
cats
or
that
as
he
cheap
didn't
as
adopt that he
coal
sold off.
and
This is what
gas
happened to
and
them.
oil. Nobody's going to build another
Coal-fired
plant in America.
Carol
No
Baskin
one's going to build
doesn't
another
need-
oil-fired plant in America. They're going to move
Isn't
to
she on
renewable
Dancing with the
energy, number
Stars?
one. Number two,
on Dancing
we're going to
with
make
the
sure
Stars?
that we are able to take the...
Carol Baskins. Yeah, I saw her in the commercial. recently. I'm like, what the fuck?
You
know who they should have partnered her with?
100,000 charging stations and all of the highways that
With
we're
who?
building in the future. We're going to build an economy that, in fact, is going to provide for the ability of
Yeah, she a piece of shit, man. She fucked up my son Tiger King life.
In fact, are weatherized
Shit fucked
in a
up.
way that, in fact, will
He fucked up.
significantly less
marrying
gas
two
in
men
the
that
world
really
because the
weren't
heat will
gay.
not be going out.
That is hilarious, though.
That we can do now.
That's what the drugs do, you heard? Niggas want to chill with niggas for money. I mean, for the drugs.
In terms
She's
of
on Dancing with the Stars? Yo, she is on Dancing with the Stars. My fact checker got me.
Not only that, costing people jobs, creating jobs, creating millions of good paying jobs, not $15 an hour, but prevailing wage. By having a
See, these niggas trying to give us 15 an hour, man. We need 20, 25 an hour, man. We broke out here.
That nigga said, he said prevailing wage, but he didn't mention number.
Because with us out of it, look what's happening.
Man, he talk about 15 universally
and talk about
in the United States, man. We need 20, 25.
With foreign policy.
That shit ain't enough, man. If you got a family. That shit's still not enough.
Absorbing that rainforest and every bit
we need a
of carbon that's
guaranteed
emitted in the
$1,000 a
United
month.
States.
Eliminate low class. We need a guaranteed $1,000 a month. Every person that pays taxes,
free.
Guaranteed $1,000 a month. Free.
Extra. That's fact.
Here's $20 billion.
That's it.
Yeah,
that's
that's
what
true.
we need.
Stop.
If you broke and you making 20, 25, 40,000 free taxes.
That'll put you in a telly. That'll put you in a telly. That'll get you a meal. That'll get you an outfit for an interview. That'll get you to pay rent in your mom's crib for a month, right? Here, you'll hold this so I can stay here for a month.
Give you something.
And after that, that'll boom our economy because all that money is going to the things that we really keep buying.
Yeah, because they spending it.
Come on, we need an extra $1,000 a month, everybody. That nigga Wayne, the Chinese guy Wayne, whatever his the president running, he said that. He said everybody in university needs $1,000 a month. If I was president, I'd make sure they get it.
It's all true.
But if he was president,
Man, they got to pass that stimulus bill.
Or 20 billion, as you said.
Need that check.
100
you begging for it.
I'm talking about.
They need to create jobs.
And rebuild the building. It's the dumbest
places. In New York City,
airplanes are out of business, where two-car systems are out.
Who the hell's gonna live there? They can't work to pay the rent. The train, the block,
this is a
more
100
trains.
trillion. That's more
People that
money
use more
than
trains,
our
more
country
bikes,
could
more
make
this.
in
We're gonna live
100
in
years
a
if we
fucking
not
city that's one of the
Let
next
me,
big
because I
I'm
actually,
sorry, but
I actually have studied your plan, and it includes
more than
upgrading
5
4
million
million buildings, weatherizing 2 million homes over 4 years, building 1.5
and then you don't have
million
enough jobs
energy-efficient
for at least
homes.
10% of those people.
So the question
You
becomes,
telling me at least
the president
30
is saying, I think some
40%
people
won't
who
be
support the
doing
president
illegal
would
shit.
say that sounds like it's going to
No,
cost
that's
us
insane.
and hurt the economy.
What it's going to do is going to create thousands
all
of millions of
collectively hold
jobs,
on
good
to the
paying
little checks
jobs.
that go ahead and
Sir.
stay in the
He doesn't know how
fridge.
to do that.
I
know,
know,
it's
$1
just-
billion.
They need to
fact is
create
it's gonna
jobs. They
create
need to say,
millions
okay,
of
we need
good
to build
paying jobs.
infrastructure.
And these tax
All right, yo,
incentives
we
to
need to
people,
build
for people to
reinforcements
weatherize, which he wants to
and
get,
all that,
get rid
jobs.
of. It's going to make the
All that time
economy
they
more
had
safer.
shut down
Look
the
how much
city,
we're
they
paying
couldn't
now
fix the
to
shit.
deal with the hurricanes. With the
All the
deal with,
niggas
by
that
the
was
way,
not
here's an
working,
answer
they
for
didn't have to
hurricanes. He
start
said
working.
maybe we should drop
That's
a
the
nuclear
truth.
weapon on them.
Really.
They may.
I
It
never
did.
said that.
That's
at all.
what he
It
did
just
say.
moved
made it
too
up.
much like
And
1930s.
here's the deal.
You make up a
And back then, there
We're
was
going to be
collapse.
in a position where
Well, in
we can create
1919,
hard,
and it was
good
1940
jobs
something.
by
Right
making
before
sure the
the war.
environment is
And this
clean
is gonna
and we
feel
all
like it.
are in
Like,
better shape.
we don't
We
know who to
spend
pick from these
billions of
candidates.
dollars now, billions
Correct.
of
None of
dollars
these guys
on
can do it, though.
floods,
They don't have a plan.
hurricanes, rising seas.
You
We're
know,
in
unless
real
they're gonna
trouble.
destroy the whole
Look what's happening just
bill.
in the Midwest with these.
But to do
You
what?
don't know that you're gonna be president until you're gonna be president.
And counties in Iowa, they didn't happen before. They're because
True,
of global
because
warming.
you don't know your
We
plan
make up 15% of
before
the world's
you become
We,
president.
in fact,
And even if you know your plan, it's
the rest
just a
of what we gotta
plan.
get them to come
You still got to
along.
put it
That's
into
what we
play,
have to
and it's
get
like
back
it's still not
into.
going to go as you
Back
planned it.
into the Paris
That's
Accord.
right.
All right, gentlemen, we
These people are just selling us a dream, saying they're gonna fix the economy. Right now, the economy fucked up, and Trump is saying things are getting better when shit's still fucked up. Nobody has ever went through a pandemic, the whole world in the pandemic. So it's like, how are they gonna fix that? How are they gonna find their way back building up the economy if no one has ever gone through something like this?
If he knew
He made a
anything
statement
about
about the military. He said, I
There you
said
go, they're
something
fighting,
about the
they're
military.
fighting.
He and his
They're fighting.
friends made it up. And
Yeah, they
then
going hard,
were
huh?
lying.
I
I
want
never
to
said
see
okay.
celebrity
in
deathmatch.
this segment.
Yeah, that should be priceless. They should make that game, celebrity deathmatch. Have these two in there.
Stop.
I would never say
Oh,
that.
where's this celebrity death match?
Go ahead. Mr. Vice President.
Yeah, that shit died out.
I don't know.
Answered his
MTV
final
just
question.
became
The
more.
final question is, I can't remember which of all his rantings.
I'm having a little trouble myself.
More of
And about
reality
the economy and about this question of what it's going to cost.
It wasn't no longer
I mean, the Green
about
New
the
Deal
music.
and the idea of what
MTV
your
called music
environmental changes
our
will do.
reality.
The Green New Deal
And for them to
itself
use
as we
the
move
people that
forward. You're not going to build plants that, in fact,
reality
are great
to
polluting
influence
plants.
You
You're
support
gonna
the
build-
Green New Deal?
Pardon me?
Do you support that?
No, I
that-
don't support the Green New Deal.
You don't? Oh, well, that's a big statement.
all of
I
reality.
That means you
support
just
the
lost the radical left.
I
No.
support
Then you give Trump
the
the reality
Biden
TV
plan
show
that I
for
put
the
forward.
president.
Okay.
The Biden plan,
You're
which is
fired.
different than what he
He
calls
on
the
the
radical
WWE
Green New
Hall
Deal.
of
All right,
Fame.
gentlemen, final segment.
This
Election
guy is
integrity. As we meet tonight,
Get to the
millions of
public.
Americans are
He's done that his whole
receiving
life. He's posted
mail-in
on
ballots
magazines.
or
This
going
guy-
to vote
Hold on,
early.
it's the last segment right now. So let's hear the last question.
That this
Yeah,
will be a
let's rock
fair
out the last
election.
10.
And what are you prepared to do over the next 5+ weeks? Because it'll not only be to Election Day, but also counting some ballots, mail-in ballots after Election Day. What are
don't have another
you prepared
debate.
to do to reassure
I'm
the
going to take
American
more
people
speed.
that the
What do you
next
think I'm going to do?
president
I'm going to
will
sniff
be
in
the
a ball of
legitimate
coke that I
winner
picked up in
of this
Colombia.
election in this final segment? Mr. Vice
My
President.
country that.
Prepared to let people vote.
I
They
got a
should go
black
to
bitch that sucks my
iwillvote.com.
dick.
Decide how they're going
Great.
to vote, when they're going to vote, and what means by which they're going to vote.
Man, I wish Kanye still
Homeland Security
fucking
Director and as well as the
going for
FBI.
president, man. He would have got my vote, man. Come on, Ye.
Mail-in ballots are a
Trying to be a
source
black man with a
of
white
being
chick.
manipulated.
Just give everybody free Yeezys, you heard? Everybody vote for you,
There are gonna be
for
millions
sure.
of people because of COVID that are going to be voting by mail-in ballots, like he does, by the way. He sits behind the Resolute desk and sends his ballot to Florida. Number one. Number two, we're going to make sure that those people who want to vote in person are able to
This
vote.
shit's gonna be tainted. It's gonna be fucked up.
To make sure they can
If Trump keeps saying everything got rigged, shit gonna get rigged again right now then.
open until the votes are counted.
But this
And this is all
year's
about
gonna-
Trump
No, that shit gonna make sure this shit get rigged.
voting because he's
There's-
trying
Somebody-
to
there's
scare people
somebody on
that
purpose.
it's not going to be
Somebody
legitimate.
on purpose.
Show up
Whether
and
it be
vote.
Russian or American.
You will
most likely
determine the
American,
outcome of this election.
they're gonna
Vote,
go ahead
vote,
and
vote.
rank up
If you're
the
able to
numbers,
vote
run up the
early in your
numbers
state,
on
vote
purpose
early.
just to see
If you're able
the
to
person
vote
that they
in
voted
person,
for
vote in
wins.
person.
Why?
Vote whatever way is the best way for you, because he cannot stop you from being able to determine the outcome of this
he
election.
cannot
And in
stop
terms
you.
of whether or not, when the votes are counted and they're all counted, that will be accepted. If I win, that will be accepted. If I lose, that'll be accepted. But by the way, if in fact he says he's not sure what he's going
Somebody
to
needs
accept,
to-
well, let me
somebody
tell you
needs to
something. It
movie
doesn't
Back to
matter,
the-
because if we get the votes,
So he can
it's
learn how
going
to
to be
grow
all
young.
over. He's going to go. He can't stay in power.
He's about
It won't
to die.
happen.
He's gonna
It won't
go.
happen. So
He's about to have a
vote.
heart attack as soon as
Just
they get
make
off the
sure
stage.
you
Trump wins
understand
automatically.
you have it in your
Shit.
control to determine what this country's going to look like the next 4 years.
Yo,
Is it
you
going
saw
to
his eye?
change?
He
Or
just
you
looked
get
at his
4
dealer
more
right now.
years of these
So you got
lies?
me. I got to get off the stage.
That nigga irking and waiting for that shit. He can't wait to take a little
transition.
hit.
There's been no transition from when I won. I won that election. And if you look at crooked Hillary Clinton, if you look at all of the different
comes
people,
the orange head.
there was no transition
God.
because they came after
swear,
me,
we're
tried
in
to
a
do a
basket of
coup.
fruits, bro.
They came after
A
me,
basket
spying
of
on my
vegetables.
campaign.
Yo, we're in a
They started
basket of
from the
vegetables.
day
We
I
got
won and
full
even
of
before
fruit.
I won.
Shit dry on stage,
With
man.
our First Lady.
I'm surprised Trump didn't take a Trump sip
Disaster. They were a
with his
disgrace
water.
to our country, and we've caught them. We've caught
You
them
call
all.
it dried out
We've got it
vegetable
all
or
on
dried out
tape.
fruit?
We've caught them all. And by
Dried
the
out
way,
fruit.
you gave the
Yeah,
idea
man.
for the Logan Act against General
You
Flynn.
Hydrated.
We need to
Hydrated.
take a look at that because we caught you in a sense.
Damn,
and
Biden finished. He should have came in 4 years ago,
He
man.
knew about it too. So don't
Why
tell me
can't we
about
get
a
a
free transition.
45-year-old candidate? Why can't
As
we get a
far as the
50-year-old
ballots are
candidate? What, they
concerned,
It's a fact, though. Somebody young, JFK status.
solicited ballot.
These dudes are both
Okay,
70.
solicited is okay. You
niggas
solicit
is
it,
man.
you
old.
send it back, you send it back.
We'll see in
I
a
did that.
dinosaur fight.
If you have an unsolicited, they're sending millions of
They
ballots
try to
all over
preserve
the
their
country.
fossil fuel.
There's fraud. They found them in creeks.
Don't know for
they
what.
found some with the name Trump. Just
Yo,
happened
he's
to have
shitting
the
on
name
him.
Trump just the other day in a waste paper basket. They're being
It's his
sent
favorite shit
all
to do,
over
talk
the
shit.
place. They sent 2 in a Democrat area. They sent out 1,000 ballots. Everybody got 2 ballots. This is going to be a fraud like you've never seen. The other thing, it's nice.
You see what I mean? The fraud shit. So either way, it's gonna get rigged. Either Trump rigs.
Because people are really happy
It's
with
fraud.
the job.
Rigged.
But you know what? We won't know. We might not know for months because these
Shit is
ballots are gonna be
crazy.
all over over. Take a look at what happened in Manhattan.
You think that?
Take a
Yeah,
look
let's
at what
put some
happened
conspiracy
in New Jersey. Take a look at what happened in
why
Virginia
Joe
and
Biden's
other
wearing a
places.
black and white
They're
tie
not
like
losing
that?
2%, 1%, which, by the way, is too much. An election could be
to show that he's black and white, showing the love.
3%. It's a fraud.
He trying to bring us back to the
Can you
1900s.
imagine where they say
1910.
you have to have your ballot in
And
by
Trump came out
November
with the
10th.
spice. Let me go red and black.
November
I don't give a
10th.
fuck.
That means that's
Shit.
7 days after the election, in theory, should have been
Oh,
announced.
he's wearing navy
We have
blue,
major
red, and
states
white.
with that.
Sir,
All run by
2 minutes is
Democrats.
2 minutes.
All run by Democrats. It's
President
a
Trump,
rigged election.
you're going to be able to.
This shit crazy.
Been charging for months that mail-in balloting is going to be a disaster. You say it's rigged.
Yep.
It's crazy. It's going to be rigged. I can't believe it.
In 2018, in the last midterm election, 31 million people voted mail-in voting. That was a quarter, more than a quarter of all the voters that year cast their ballots by mail. Now that millions of mail-in ballots have gone out, what are you going to do about it? And are you counting on the Supreme Court, including a Justice Barrett, to settle any dispute?
Yeah, I think I'm counting on them to look at the ballots, definitely. I don't think I hope we don't need them.
Like, why would,
the election
how could a judge even figure out if the ballots is correct or not?
I read today where at least 1% of the ballots for 2016
it's the same thing like 2000.
They take them. We don't like them. We don't like them.
But what
They
are you
throw
going to
them
do
out
about it?
left
There
and
are
right.
millions of ballots going out.
bullshit.
You go and vote. You do a solicited ballot. No, that's okay. No, you go and
I'm
vote.
asking you about the fact that millions of people.
You go and vote. You go
All
and
that,
vote,
But
like
I'm
they,
saying is,
like
what you
they
can do
used
about
to.
the fact that millions of
All of
people.
You either do, Chris, a solicited ballot where you're sending
It's insane.
sending it back and you're sending.
Then you do it
They
forward.
have mailmen with
You know
lots
what I mean?
of. Did you see
The
what's
United
going on?
States
Take a look
is
at
a
West
hospital.
Virginia. Mailmen selling the ballots.
You want to hold it
They're being
you want to hold
sold.
it
They're being dumped in
you wanna
rivers.
hold it
This is a
the
horrible thing for our country.
There is
This
no-
is not.
there is no
This is not
evidence
going to
that-
end well.
Okay.
This is not going
Vice
to end
President
well.
Biden.
5
No.
states have had
Go ahead,
mail-in
sir.
ballots.
And
for
if
the
anybody
last
understands the government
decade or
history
more,
of government,
5, including 2 Republican
it
states.
always turns
And
against
you
the
don't have
people.
to solicit the
Yo,
ballot.
I've
It's
been
sent to
deep
you.
diving into
It's sent to
Kennedy.
your
I've been
home.
deep diving
What we're
into all
saying
these
is-
things, and it's
they're
insane
saying
that
is
our
it has to be a
government, the
postmark
contraband,
by
Iran
the
conspiracy,
time by
everything,
election
yo.
day.
The shit with
If it
Pablo
doesn't get
Escobar,
in till
Barry
the
Seal.
7th,
Yo,
8th,
our
9th,
CIA,
it's still
our government
should
has
be
been so,
counted.
like, yo, has
He's
been
just
so,
afraid of
like,
counting the votes.
it kind of
because
makes me want to go to the military. I want to see what
continue with you
conspiracy
on
I
this.
get some
Yeah,
fucking
President
stuck
Biden,
into over
I
here.
feel you on that.
Excuse me.
It's crazy, yo. Our
Vice
whole
President
government is
Biden,
made
the
up of
biggest
just one
problem,
thing, a
in
big
fact, over
fucking
the years with
conspiracy.
mail-in voting.
Correct. That's fucked
has
up.
not been
Because they even on a reality status.
It has been
It
that
may be fucked up, but you know
sizable
what's
numbers,
crazier?
sometimes hundreds of
That
thousands of
these
ballots are
people
thrown out
wrote a
because
piece of
they
document,
have not been properly filled
whether
out,
it's
or there is some
outdated or
other
not, this is the
irregularity,
truth.
or they missed
But in
the deadline. So the question I have
1776,
is, are you
these motherfuckers
concerned
wrote a
that the
document,
Supreme Court, with a Justice
Declaration of
Barrett,
Independence,
will settle any
and
dispute?
they
I'm
knew
concerned
how to
that any
keep
court
people
would settle
in
this
check
because
for the
here's the
next
deal.
200 plus
When
years.
when you file,
They did it
when
right.
you get a
They did it
ballot
right for 200
and you
plus
fill
years.
it out,
Now it's our time
you're
to let
supposed to
that
have
shit
an
go.
affidavit.
We
If you
need
didn't
new
know,
rules
you-
now. We
someone
need
Correct.
to adopt the new
They want to
rules.
live on the old
should be
shit.
able to.
Fuck
If
that
you
old
have to
shit.
verify
Shout out to
that
Reese, you
Those
heard?
guys were
before the
geniuses.
ballot
I think
is
those
thrown
guys got
out,
like intellect
that's
from like
sufficient to
aliens
be
or
able to
something. Because
count
they
the
were
ballot
geniuses. They
because
saw
someone
they
made
saw
a
ahead
No,
of
it's a
time.
fact.
and not
We don't have
dotting
people
the
like them
correct
now.
I.
And I know
Who
they
they
had
voted
slaves,
for,
and I know they weren't good
testify,
people. I know
say who they voted
Washington
for,
used to steal the teeth
say
of his
it's
slaves
you.
and put them
That
in
is
his mouth.
totally legitimate.
You know what I mean? I know all the bad shit. The shit
Yeah,
that
what it is, bro. I don't.
It's
It's not what
swamping
it
the
is.
system.
It's true.
You know it can't be
It's
done.
the truth. That's
You
what he
know
used
it
to
can't.
do.
And
And on
already-
paper it said that he paid for it. But nobody cares.
Nobody gonna look into that bullshit.
8 states. We
It's
can
okay.
People don't
In
care.
8 states, election workers are prohibited currently by law, 8 states, from even beginning to process ballots, even take them out of the envelopes and flatten them until Election Day. That means that it's likely, because there's going to be a huge increase in mail-in balloting, that we are not going to know on election night who the winner is, that it could be days, it could be weeks,
Exactly.
until we find out who the new
So you know it's gonna be rigged, like Trumpy said.
First for you, sir.
Run it up,
Finally,
run
for
it
the-
up.
for the vice
Run it up,
president.
run it
I
up.
hope neither of you will interrupt the other. Will you urge
Numbers is bullshit, man. They say
to
whatever
stay
the hell they
calm
want.
during this extended period, not to engage in any civil unrest? And will you pledge tonight that you will not declare victory until the election has been independently certified? President Trump, you
I'm
go first.
urging my supporters
he's
to
gonna
go
say, "I
into
won
the polls
immediately."
and watch very
Facts.
carefully. because that's what has
I don't care what the ballot says. I won.
do it.
That's what
As you know,
do.
today there was a big problem. In Philadelphia, they went in to watch. They're called poll watchers, a very safe, very nice thing. They were thrown out. They weren't allowed to watch. You know why? Because bad things happen in Philadelphia, bad things. And I am urging my people. I hope it's going to be a fair election. If it's a fair election, I am 100% on board. But if I see tens of thousands of ballots being manipulated, I can't go along with that. And I'll tell you what.
Problem is how he's gonna know if they rigging the ballot.
You're sending out 80
How?
million ballots.
He not even there watching these niggas.
Nobody will.
Number one.
But they both have
Two,
people
they
on both their
cheat.
sides
They cheat.
rigging the ballot.
They found ballots in a way.
Well, the thing is that there's
3 days ago, and they all had the
No,
name
there's
military.
300
insane.
million people in the United States. We're going to have 400 million ballots.
Vice President Biden,
How the fuck you gonna count that shit?
urge your supporters to stay
This nigga's on crack, man.
Will you pledge
What about the people that get high?
until
What
the
about the people that
election is
get high and
independently
forgot that they already filled out the
Yes,
ballot?
and here's the deal.
It's fucking crazy. That's a fact, bro. You know niggas get high right now at work. They don't go fuck. They just doing their job.
Election day.
You don't have a drug
And if there's
motherfucker just filling
thousands
them
of
out
ballots,
10 at
it's
a
gonna
time.
take time to do it. And by the way,
Facts.
they've been voting by ballots since the end of the Civil War, in effect.
America not safe right now.
What's going to happen? Why was it not?
It's not looking good.
No, outside, no man is
Somehow
safe
not
from.
fraudulent.
It don't
It's the
matter if
same
you're 3
process.
feet or 8'1".
It's honest. No one has established at all.
Throw them balls in there, fool. I let them niggas know, man.
It's the truth, bro.
Ballots.
It's a fact.
Somehow
Mobb
it's a
Deep,
fraudulent
okay.
process.
Shit fucked up.
Take a look at
My Deep was preaching before.
You had an
Word.
opportunity
Look
to
at
respond.
John Monroe.
Go ahead.
They
Proud
have
of
no
you.
idea what
Vice
happened.
President Biden, go ahead.
He has no idea what he's talking about. Here's the deal. The fact is, I will accept it, and he will
He
too.
just
You know
said
why?
This nigga disrespectful.
Because once the winner is declared, after all the ballots are counted, all the votes are counted.
Yo,
that'll be
Harry,
the end
you're
of
the
it.
man for this.
That'll be the end of it. And if it's me,
Man, we all doing this together, man. The American people,
I think
man.
you need to do
Trying to
this.
get
I think you need
the
to-
news to the people,
Yo,
man.
and I'll be a president
You
not
need to
just
do
for
this
the
every time a news
Democrats. I'll be
update
president
comes
for
on.
Democrats
You
and
need to do this
Republicans.
every time.
And this guy,
Now I got you, man. Next debate, we on, man.
Gentlemen,
Harlem Porter back. Next debate for sure. So stay tuned, viewers. You heard?
we're going to leave it there. To be continued as in more debates as we go on.
Yes,
President
sir.
Trump, Vice President
You'll see the
Biden,
Harlem
it's been an
Porter
interesting
again.
Hour and a half. I want to thank you both for participating in the first of 3 debates.
Hey, don't forget me. I'm the host, Harlem Porter.
Yeah, we were here.
And my special guest, King Neptune and Fuma Mucho, you heard?
The next debate, sponsored by the Commission on Presidential
Thor.
Debates, will be 1 week
And Thor, shout out to you too, you heard? Thank you for the insight.
In Salt Lake City, the 2 vice presidential nominees, Vice President Mike
all
Pence
over,
and
baby.
Senator Kamala Harris, will debate at 9 p.m. Eastern that night. We hope you watch. Until then, thank you and good night.
Good night, America.
It's hard to know where to start.
Holla, pinky out to the
I'm not sure
gods.
how people are going to feel about that.
Stay tuned for the next debate. It's going to be crazy again. It's a circus. 2 clowns. Who will win?
For the future, who
It's
told
your
the
choice.
truth.